Sunlight is coming to the grand jury investigation against Letitia James. No, not the first grand jury investigation against Letitia James brought by Trump's loyalist, inexperienced, former personal attorney turned first-time prosecutor Lindsey Halligan. I'm talking about the second grand jury investigation brought by Trump's loyalist, inexperienced, former personal attorney turned first-time prosecutor John Sarcone. And on that grand jury investigation, a federal judge has ruled that a fight over a subpoena has to hit the public light. I'm Adam Klasfeld, and you're watching All Rise News here on Legal AF, here on the Midas Touch Network. Take a moment to hit subscribe. As the late Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis said, sunlight is the best disinfected. And that was the modus operandi of senior U.S. District Judge Lorna Schofield in ordering the docket of that second grand jury investigation involving John Sarcone to hit the public docket. Now, you might remember that name because we covered John Sarcone here on All Rise News. John Sarcone is a former lawyer for the Trump campaign and one of the several top federal prosecutors installed in districts across the country by Donald Trump without Senate confirmation and over the objections of the judges of his district. So some background here. What John Sarcone, the grand jury investigation that he is trying to push forward against Letitia James, is over two successful lawsuits that Letitia James filed, one against Trump and another against a Trump ally. The one against Trump, you probably can guess which one I'm talking about. It's the one where James proved to the lower court that Trump was fraudulently inflating his assets on statements of financial condition to the tune of up to billions of dollars a year for nearly a decade. She won that case, which is up on appeal as we speak, but the judgment itself was confirmed by the intermediate court. Then there's the second case that's the subject of John Sarcone's investigation. It's the case into the NRA. And that was validated by a jury. A jury decided to issue a judgment against Wayne LaPierre to the tune of $4.2 million for wasting donors' assets. That case was over the misuse of donor money. And now the NRA has to subject itself to compliance, court-ordered compliance, because of the evidence that Letitia James brought before a jury, brought before a judge, and won her case in large part. And somehow, John Sarcone, former Trump campaign lawyer turned top prosecutor, who might be unlawfully appointed, we'll get to that in a moment, has said that those successful cases might involve a crime against Trump's civil rights. Now, Sarcone is not a neutral arbiter. Like I said, he's a former Trump campaign lawyer. He's a man who once said that former President Joe Biden is, quote, a traitor. He has no prosecutorial experience. And Judge Schofield, in her ruling, which was first reported by independent journalist Seamus Hughes, she gave several reasons as to why Sarcone couldn't keep his investigation a secret. And one of the main reasons is it's already public. From the ruling, Judge Schofield wrote, quote, unsealing this action is not only permissible, but compelled. One simple fact drives this conclusion. The information at issue is not secret. Further, the public has substantial and legitimate interest in the New York Office of the Attorney General's motion to quash, which concerns alleged retaliation by the executive branch, issues of state sovereignty, and the purported improper appointment of the Northern District's acting U.S. attorney. These questions touch on matters of national concern, with implications that stretch well beyond this action, end quote. As she points out in the ruling, this case has been reported on by the New York Times, the Fox News, Reuters, Bloomberg, CBS, Forums, the Associated Press and the BBC, all of them have confirmed the existence of the subpoenas to Letitia James's office, that John Sarcone has sought these records in order to try to build a case against her. And how else does the public already know about the existence of these subpoenas? Letitia James's lawyer, Abby Lowell, spoke on NPR about them.
They literally have sent 2 requests. The first is for every piece of paper. For those who are not lawyers and don't litigate, the idea that you could send a subpoena for literally every piece of paper that an office has on a subject is itself unprecedented.
Judge Schofield found all of the arguments brought forward by Letitia James compelling enough to unseal the case. Here were the arguments that she laid out. 1, that the subpoenas were issued to retaliate against actors disfavored by President Trump and his allies, a theme relevant to active cases across the country. 2, unreasonably infringe on New York's state sovereignty, a matter of strong public interest to the people of New York. And 3, are facially invalid because of the acting U.S. attorney's allegedly improper appointment, a question with significant implications for criminal prosecutions within the Northern District and one currently playing out in several judicial districts across the country. These clear public interests support disclosure. And in that passage, Judge Schofield has a number of telling footnotes. In one of the footnotes, where she's describing Trump's retaliatory prosecutions, she lists a number of different cases. She lists the cases against James Comey and Letitia James in the Eastern District of Virginia, Trump's executive orders against major law firms like Wilmer Hale, Sussman Godfrey, Jenner and Block, and Perkins Coie. And in another footnote, she described all the other times that Trump installed interim U.S. attorneys have been disqualified as being unlawfully appointed, including in the cases involving Alina Habba in the District of New Jersey, Bill Asalee in the Central District of California, and the District of Nevada's Sigel Chadha. All occasions 3-0, where Trump appointed U.S. attorneys once they had the legitimacy of their appointments challenged. The people challenging the legitimacy of their appointments won. There have been no defeats when a challenge like that has been brought. And the judge notes there is a pending challenge against the appointment of Lindsey Halligan in the Eastern District of Virginia, and that James is challenging the lawfulness of the appointment of John Sarcone in the Northern District of New York. That's why the fight about the legitimacy of these Trump-installed U.S. attorneys with little experience and who can't get confirmed by the Senate or the approval of their districts is so important. That the reason Trump and his senior staffers are fighting so hard to keep these inexperienced prosecutors at the helm in these districts is to serve the agenda of the President of the United States, not to act as neutral arbiters, to kind of look at the facts and the law and to see when a prosecution is warranted or not warranted. You can find any number of qualified, experienced people if you want to serve that purpose. If you want someone who isn't really constrained by the experience of what it means to do things the right way and appropriately and ethically, then you need a loyalist. Then experience doesn't matter. Then you can just install one of your former attorneys or your campaign's former attorneys and someone pliant enough to push whatever investigation the president wants against one of his enemies. That's why this isn't just an abstract challenge about whether these Trump loyalist U.S. attorneys satisfied the legal requirements. These are court cases that go to the heart of the justice system and democracy. To find out more about my reporting, visit www.allrisenews.com. That's www.allrisenews.com. And if you want to support the work that I do in following these cases, including cases you might not have heard about, become a paid subscriber, and you'll support my work and get my reporting right in your inbox. and to watch videos like these, click subscribe right now, and I'll see you next time here on Legal AF.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.